Shawn Slevin, the Executive Director and founder of Swim Strong Foundation. We are a 501c3 here in New York City, and our mission is to both save and change lives through the teaching of water safety and strong swimming skills. Our programming ranges from learn to swim. We have adaptive programming for people with fear, people with different abilities, through competitive swimming, and we host clinics to showcase different stroke techniques. We're all about the technique. That's what differentiates us. And from time to time, we're very fortunate to have such superstars of the swimming world like Neal with us, who is with us here today. But I think, too, what I'd like to say is that it's not just about the technique, while that's important, it's also about the life lessons that transcend the pool. Wouldn't you agree, Leah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So things like self-discipline, things like focus, things like teamwork, things like goal setting, resiliency, right? You talked about the time like when you were young and you expected to be dropping seconds every meet. But as the better you get, the harder that is, right? So to know that sometimes you get onto a plateau and you have to just keep grinding through to get that infinitesimal little improvement, and that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And it's those lessons that help make us not just great athletes, but great people and successful in lives, and that's really what we want to do. Swimming is our vehicle, but it is the life lessons. And as I said, we're so fortunate to have Leah here with us today because she is a role model for this. And so I'd like to introduce you to Olympian Neal.
Hi, thank you, Shawn. I completely agree with everything Shawn said. I got into swimming at a really young age, and just kind of out of coincidence, it was like the first sport that I tried and then I stuck with for the next 18 years, so it's been the only sport I've ever done. But even from a young age, and just like the number of practices a week and hours and energy that swimming requires in order to really like keep improving and excelling in it, and in order to meet the goals that you do set for yourself, does require a lot, and asks of a lot out of one person who does want to like reach those goals. So in doing so, you do learn a lot about yourself. You learn how to become a just like better and well-rounded person. I know that swimming has definitely shaped me to become the person I am today, just through the work ethic like Shawn had mentioned, and with time management skills and really holding yourself just to a higher standard, and just really also surrounding yourself with the people that swimming also just produces as well. Usually swimmers are kind of all fall in the same group, and we all have the same goals, and we're all training towards those same goals, and we all know exactly like what it does take in order to do what we want to do and what we believe we're capable of doing. So over the last 18 years, it has been it's been a journey for sure, and it hasn't always been on an upward trajectory, but I feel like that's not really realistic. I don't think anyone has ever improved and kept improving from the get-go in whatever sport they participate in. It doesn't even have to be just swimming. I think that it really does help you in becoming a better person and a better athlete to also hit those valleys and hit those plateaus, because it's during those times of frustration and just moments when you're just not getting the output that you put in, like all the energy and time and effort that you put into it, it's just not translating towards like whatever it is that you want it to translate to.
It's called life. Right?
Yeah. And like I think for swimmers, just because swimming takes up so much of your life, like you get so used to thinking that it's only swimming, but once you remove yourself from swimming and then like if you choose to continue to swim like post college or whatever, like as an adult, like you realize that it does apply to like all aspects of life, and that it's not just specific to sports. You do learn from all of the negative moments, and those moments are just as important as the joyous
Maybe
occasions.
More so.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
more so.
It's always nice to feel good, but it's not always necessary. Like, it feels good to feel good, but it's also important to have some off moments, have some moments when you really have to dig deep and find yourself and really draw from like the deepest, darkest like crevices of yourself to really grow as a person. And I think that for the beginning part of my career, everything was pretty much on a steady trajectory. But as I got older and as I started competing more consistently at an elite level, I realized that it's really hard to try to find like things to tweak in order to drop time and go faster and drop time at the rate that you used to when you were younger. Which is why my favorite part about swimming is focusing on technique and really just always learning and being able to get better, because no one is ever the best. Like, everyone can get better. Like, Katie Ledecky can get better. Like, how do you think her...
And she does.
Yeah, like, how do you think her world
Basically,
records
she
get
does.
broken? Like, because
That's right.
she figures out ways to train better and, like...
Calibrate, right?
Yeah,
Those are
and...
calibrations.
Yeah, and, like, improve on her own technique, and which leads to breaking her personal best times, and which also means breaking world records, because she has all of them. But yeah, it's all about the journey, and like no one could have prepared me for this. Like, people can warn you as much as they want. Like, look, like, I mean, it would have been helpful if someone were to say to me when I was younger, like, look, embrace these time drops, because they're not always going to happen. But that didn't happen, and still, like, people can warn you as much as they want, but like, you really do need to go through it yourself in order to really appreciate those time drops when they actually do happen, or to really appreciate those moments of frustration and just really not hitting the times that you want to hit or achieving the goals that you set out for yourself. But I feel like my mantra is that everything happens for a reason, and also it's just not statistically what is the saying for it? It's not statistically significant for people to constantly do well. It's just like,
Well, I think it's just not life, right? It's not
Yeah.
possible. It's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, you have your peaks and your valleys. And I think, too, if you get on that trajectory where you think it's always going to be coming, it's almost a false expectations, right? So when something happens unexpectedly and it's bad, you don't have the wherewithal to really deal with that appropriately.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, because not everything is going to go smoothly.
course.
And so it's the person, the way that you respond to hard situations says a lot about the person that you are. And sports, and swimming especially, I feel like prepares you for that, because like Sean said, that's life. So it is better to be well prepared for these things by having already experienced it already.
I have a question for you. One of the things that I'm so grateful for today is to see particularly our swimming athletes like yourself being able to compete at older ages. Back in my day, and of course I'm almost as old as Moses, right? But back in my day, you were old at 20. You were burnt out, you were gone. And now our athletes are competing into their 30s, into their 40s. I mean, it's phenomenal. And I think, too, being able to see many of them take these swimming skills into businesses that reflect and that they're using those skills into excites me very much. What are you thinking as you start to think outside of the pool for yourself?
There are things that really do excite me, like outside of the pool, in terms of like careers, just like seeing the careers that like some of my friends have, and just seeing what other people's career paths look like, and that makes me excited for what's to come, like after swimming, because swimming is just for such a short fraction of your life. And yeah, I'm only 24 and I have been swimming 18 years, so at this point it seems like it's been my life, because it has been, but again, like I'm only 24 and I have the rest of my life ahead of me, so I still have like all of that time to really focus on like a career outside of swimming, and I'm actually excited about that. Like I'm not just solely like boxed into this like one time of my life, because there's so much more that I can look forward to.
What was your major?
Science, technology, and society.
Oh, cool. So what do you think you might do with that?
A lot of people, well, you can do anything with it because it is a little bit of everything, but a lot of people have gone into project management, which I think is really cool. I like taking a leadership role, and not to like bring it back to swimming, but I feel like swimming has really allowed for me to take that leadership role, and really understand what it takes to be a leader, and all the different types of leaders there are. It's not just about telling people what to do, but it's also about leading by example, and even if you can't do something, it's allocating that to the person who can do it.
Finding that key person.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I was I was fortunate enough to have been able to have a leadership role, especially at Stanford, on the Stanford women's swim team, and being co-captain with my teammate and classmate Nicole Stafford my senior year. And that was just a pretty like unforgettable experience and year to have, not only because that was our first time winning NCAAs in 19 years, but also because you're considered a leader for this legacy, the Stanford name, the Stanford swim team that has accomplished so much just like in the history of college swimming. So it's really cool to be given that title.
But it's well deserved.
Thank you.
And I think you're just a phenomenal role model, and really you have a lot of fans. A number of people that found out we were doing our work were like, oh, I wish we could come. Of course, it's the holiday weekend. Yeah. A lot of people are traveling or whatever, but really, I just want to give you this little gift from Swim Strong to say thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you.
And I hope this is the first of many things that we can do together, because I know you have a wonderful life ahead of you, and we want to be a little piece of that too.
Thank you. Thank you.